wake up and realize what
Hey, how you doing out there? It's your boy, it's your brother Chris Harris. I'm back with you again here at Open Doors with another great topic for me and you to discuss. I need you to like this episode, and if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. All right, let's go. I want us to talk about RG3 and the spat that he got into with Ryan Clark, all over some comments that RG3 made about Angel Reese. In a previous episode, I played what RG3 said about Angel Reese, and he was just saying that Angel Reese, he believes, hates Caitlin Clark. But Ryan Clark of the Pivot podcast, former NFL player himself, had a response to what RG3 said. I want to play that, and then I want to play RG3's response to Ryan Clark, and then we'll have a conversation. Let me play the video.
The fact that the WNBA has this exciting rivalry, and we've talked about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese for so long. I hate the fact that they're always pinned against one another. RG3 called what Angel Reese did hate. He said you could see the hate on her face for Caitlin Clark. I'm not really sure when we moved in to being able to read the expressions of a person and know their intent, know their character, know their perspective. But he does understand hate because I think he also understands the hate of self. When you look at the play, which is all we can speak to as professionals, all we can speak to as analysts, Angel Reese pushed one of her teammates. Caitlin Clark had a hard foul, which is part of basketball. I feel like it was assessed correctly. And Angel Reese's reaction is the sort of reaction you get in a situation when you feel like you took an intentionally hard foul. That's competitiveness. That's rivalry. That's not hate. And so now, though, when RG3 jumps on to the hate train or to the angry train, and now follows along with what we saw from Keith Olbermann, what we saw from Dave Portnoy, as they poured on to Angel Reese to make her the villain in Caitlin Clark's heroic or hero story.
Right.
The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what Black women have to endure in this country, about what young Black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise and ascension into stardom. Now, when you look at it, I think A'ja Wilson is the face of the league. A'ja Wilson is the best player in the league. Caitlin Clark is the most important player in the WNBA. And a ton of her fandom has come along with some racial bias or some racial pieces to why people love her so much. And so now if you're RG3, when is the last time within your household you've had a conversation about what she's dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because in both of your marriages, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what Black women deal with, what they're seeing when they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck while he's doing this whole piece, his wife is in the back amening and clapping. And so to me, it's just another situation that now this young lady has to deal with. When I worked with RG3, he would make all of these sort of corny jokes about milk and how much he loved it and how important it was. And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special, as if the color of her skin is what makes her a good wife. I've met the lady, I've had a conversation with her.
Right.
I think she's more than that. But it also leads to what Black women deal with a lot from Black men who have chose to date or marry outside of their race. They always feel like they have to go the extra mile to prop up the woman that they're married or the woman that they're with over Black women by denigrating Black women. I feel like we should have an opportunity to move past that and understand that Angel Reese can be great in her own right, as Caitlin Clark is as well. Caitlin Clark is a likable and lovable superstar. She pays homage to the stars of the past. She pays homage to the Black women that have come before her. And now she is carrying the mantle forward. So there's no need to pin those two against each other and paint them based on stereotypical tropes. And I think this is what I'd like RG3 to know, that no matter how much he continues to echo the microaggressions of racists, he'll be no less black than me.
Man, so Ryan Clark went in on RG3. He ain't even waste no time. That's funny. That's funny. But let's see what RG3 responded with before we have our discussion. Let's see what RG3 responded with to Ryan Clark. Let's look at it right now.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy RG3, and I just wanted to get on here and talk to you guys because there's been a lot of buzz, a lot of conversations about my sports take that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, which was purely based in basketball. But I think all of you know there's a line in life that you just simply don't cross. Wives and children are always off limits, and Ryan Clark has sprinted past that line. Ryan Clark didn't like my sports take that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, and that's fine. It's okay. It's part of the game. Sports media, I'm going to have an opinion. This person might not agree with it. That person might not agree with it. But what you don't do is turn around and personally attack me and my family just because you don't agree with a sports opinion that is purely based off the sport. I didn't make it personal. But what that really shows is just how low of a person Ryan Clark is. But Ryan, you crossed the line, man. You made it personal and some. I really believe there should be no space in sports media for personal attacks. I've said it before. But certainly personal attacks against wife and children have always been off limits. Ryan, you attacked me and my family in a public forum on a level that shows just how low of a human being you are. You can disagree with me all you want. Challenge my takes, but keep my family and my wife out of it. That's a boundary that should always be respected, man. Always. Ryan Clark personally attacking me and my family because he disagreed with my sports opinion is a bad look for ESPN. It's cowardly, it's spineless, and it's weak. Ryan Clark personally attacking me and my family, personally because he disagreed with my sports opinion, is a bad look for him as a man. I hope you get the help you need, brother.
So that was RG3's response to Ryan Clark. So let's talk. Because we heard what Ryan Clark said. Did he take it personal or make it a personal attack to RG3? Now, Ryan Clark later apologized and felt that he had a second thought and maybe he shouldn't have brought in RG3's wife, and he kind of backtracked on that. But I want to talk about something real quick. The whole subject in which surrounded the whole conversation between Ryan Clark and RG3. To me, the most disrespected person in today's world, to me, is the black woman. That's my opinion. In society today, there is this disrespect for the black woman. And I don't know where it has come from. But I see a lot of hatred, a lot of denigrating when it comes to black women. And I think it's disheartening when you see it from black men. That's just what I want to say. Now, going back to what RG3 said, I didn't really have a problem with his take, me personally, when he said Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. I felt like it was a sports opinion. I didn't see anything there disrespectful, but I'm someone looking at it from the outside, just looking at someone make a comment about a situation that happened in the basketball game. So I didn't have a problem with what RG3 said. But Ryan Clark, who knows RG3 personally, when I look at the whole situation, when I look at the whole matter, he did take it personal because he knows RG3 on a personal level. I laughed after the video because I was saying, man, he didn't even wait. He called RG3's name. Now, RG3 wasn't the only person who had a comment about the whole situation with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But it was something about what RG3 said, and it was something about the person of RG3 that just irritated Ryan Clark. And I said, he's someone who's speaking from a personal level. It was personal, RG3. It was, because he's speaking from a personal level. He worked with you. He knew you personally. So he knew this man personally. So when he came, it came from a personal level. There was something about RG3. He just couldn't hold back no more. When RG3 had his take on the whole situation, it ruffled Ryan Clark's feathers, and he had to speak about it. He later apologized. Now, it was personal. It was personal. It was a personal comment in regards to a personal relationship that they both had. But there are people out there today who have found this, and this is not talking about RG3. RG3 has his podcast. I've never watched his podcast, so I don't know, because there's just so many podcasts. I never had a chance to watch his podcast. He seems like a very intelligent man, former NFL football player. When I hear him speak, he speaks with, like he's very intelligent. He makes some good points from time to time, but he does seem to fall in a certain category. And this is where I want to go. He seems to fall in a certain category. There are certain people today who I believe have discovered this niche, and I'll call it that way. They've discovered this niche, and that niche in media, in social media, on a platform that they have, has worked for them. It brings in the views. It brings in the clicks. They get the people running to their episodes. They get the people running to their takes. They say things that would be considered outlandish, that would be considered outrageous. They found that niche, and they know it's a niche. But because it brings so much attention, they continue to do it. It works for them. One person like that to me is Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock has this niche where he's a black man himself, but he seems to have this niche where he stands in a space where he hates everything black. And he's never deviated from that. And that's his niche. Now, sometimes I listen to Jason Whitlock. He makes some good, points, nothing against him personally, but that's the niche. That's the space that he stands in. It seems like when you listen to Jason Whitlock, nothing about black people is any good. And he's a black man himself. He's a black man himself. But there are certain people like that. Let's take it off race for a second. Skip Bayless was like that. Skip Bayless would say some off-the-wall stuff. And some stuff that Skip Bayless would say, I'd be like, Skip, you can't believe that, Skip. You can't believe that. But he found the niche that if I say something outrageous, it will get attention. People will draw to it. And I believe that this was with these men. They have found that niche. Let me say something, being a black man against black people. Against black people. Even though I'm black, they have this perception of self-hate. There are some things that they say, I'd be like, every black person is not the same. Every black person is not ghetto. There is no black fatigue that they talk about. There is none of that. But a black man has said, let me just go against the grain. Let me stand in a place and have this niche where I can beat down black people, where I can beat down this topic of black fatigue, where I can beat down certain topics against black people because that's a niche. And with that niche, I'll get the ratings that I need to be successful. So there are a lot of people in that space. But what breaks my heart a lot of times is the lambasting they do it against black women. And let's talk about Angel Reese. Angel Reese is a young black woman. Now, everything that Angel Reese does, I don't always agree with. But she's a young black woman who's, to me, trying to find herself. She's growing into the black woman that God created her to be. She's young, 22, 23 years of age. I believe she's a great basketball player. Now, let's continue that conversation. There's been this hatred of Angel Reese. And the only reason I believe that people hate Angel Reese is because she's unapologetically her. She won't apologize. She won't apologize. She's unapologetically her. Now, there are things that I don't, like I said, the way sometimes that she dresses, I wish she would change the way she dresses because I believe she's a role model to young girls. But there's been this hate for Angel Reese. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. And it all started because this black girl had the audacity to get into Caitlin Clark's face and give her own medicine. She was bold enough to talk a little trash, which is part of the game. But people took it to another level. And the hatred and the stuff that people put out there for a young girl. She's still young. A young lady. She's still young. She's still a baby. Angel Reese. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong. Angel Reese I've never heard her say, one, I'm Caitlin Clark's rival. I've never heard her say that. Two, I've never heard her say, I'm better than Caitlin Clark. I've never heard her say that. So one, I've never heard Angel Reese say, I'm Caitlin Clark's rival. And two, I've never heard Angel Reese say, I'm on the level of Caitlin Clark. We're the same, or I'm better, because they play two different positions. One is a guard, one is a skill player, and the other one is a big. Angel Reese's game is she can put the ball on the floor as a big, and that's good. She's flexible. She can shoot the three, she's flexible. But her game is not like Caitlin Clark's game. They got two different games. But they're both valuable to the sport and to their team. But that old rhetoric that, oh, they're rivals. Oh, she says she's a rival. She's never said that. I've never heard her say that. That's the media that brought that up. Another thing, she's never said I'm on the same level or I'm better than Caitlin Clark. I've never heard her say that. I've never heard her say that. Michael Jordan was arguably the greatest or one of the greatest basketball players. We know that. Alonzo Mourning is not on the level of Michael Jordan. We know that two different players, two different positions, but Alonzo Mourning was a real good player. Alonzo Mourning was the teams that he was on was very good, but he wasn't Michael Jordan. Two different skill sets, two different positions, two different players, but you don't have to tear down one to build up the other. And that's what Ryan Clark was trying to say with RG3. Ryan Clark was saying that, oh, RG3, I know you like, you're the milkman. And RG3 puts these things on social media. He's the milkman. He likes his cookies and milk. And he makes these reference to his wife's skin. It wasn't nothing that was a lie. RG3 does that. He idolizes, it seems, his wife's skin. But it's okay. It's okay to have a preference. I believe it's okay to have a preference if you're a black man and you like white women, or it's okay to have people have preference, people have a taste, but you shouldn't have to tear down someone else to build up another. You shouldn't have to tear down black women to build up white women. Now, it's okay to have a take. And like I said, I had no problem with RG3's take. You know, I didn't think it was a shot at Angel Reese, that particular take. I thought it was strictly basketball. I'm with RG3 on that one. It was personal. It was personal. From a man who has a personal relationship with another man, he said, hey, this man is talking again. I know him. It's personal. It was personal. I agree with you, RG3. But just in general, there are a lot of black men who tear down black women, and they elevate white women. They elevate others. You don't have to tear down one set of women to elevate another. You don't have to do that. But back to Angel Reese. Angel Reese has never said those things. She's still a good player. She's not Caitlin Clark. They're two skill sets, two different positions, but she's good in her own right. Draymond Green is not Steph Curry. But what did Draymond do? Draymond was the force. Draymond brought the energy. You know, Draymond was the X factor of those Golden State Warriors teams. They wouldn't have won those championships without Draymond. He did the dirty work. As great as Steph was and as great as Steph is, Draymond was vital to that team. But his skill set wasn't the same as Steph Curry. You see what I'm saying? So Caitlin Clark is phenomenal. She's great. Angel Reese's skill set is not on the same level, not the same as Caitlin Clark. They play two different positions. One is a skill point guard, a skill player. The other one is a big. The only ones who compare the two is the media. And they get the fans involved, so bring their emotions involved, and they trash on Angel Reese. And it's unfortunate because the hatred that this young girl gets, yes, she's not the same player as Caitlin Clark, but Angel Reese has found her lane, and she's been very successful. And that should be celebrated, that this young girl came in and found her lane, and she's very successful. She's had a lot of success in the early part of her career. That should be celebrated. A lot of young girls do look up to Angel Reese. And this is something that she did say, which I believe is true. She said everybody is not flocking to the game just because of one person. And she was referring to Caitlin Clark. But she said, I brought people to the game as well. And this is why I'll tell you it's true. Because Batman needs the Joker. Caitlin Clark, as great as she has been, would not be Caitlin Clark if it wasn't for Angel Reese. Because Batman needs the Joker. The quote-unquote hero needs the villain. Who would Batman be? We wouldn't pay attention to Batman if it wasn't for a villain they were going against. So Caitlin Clark would just be another player if it wasn't for the villain, Angel Reese. The phenomenon of Caitlin Clark, in my opinion, didn't start until the championship game of LSU at the end when Angel Reese was like, yeah, and pointing to her ring finger. The villain, the Joker right there. The myth or the legend of Batman took off at that moment because the villain was instituted. Now you have the Batman. Now you have the quote unquote hero. And now you have the quote unquote villain. So it's true. It's true. People are not watching the WNBA like that. They got some great basketball players in WNBA, and I believe the product is increasing. And as much as Caitlin Clark is phenomenal, people still not watching the WNBA. But they're watching when it's her and the villain, when it's her and Angel Reese. So it's true what she said. But all the other stuff that she was the rival, or she's as better, or that's the media pushing that. And that's you fans who are emotional buying into it. That's not what she said. But you don't have to push up Caitlin Clark if you're a fan of hers and tear down Angel Reese. That's what we're saying. And Angel Reese is a young black lady who's still maturing, who's still finding herself. And even in her young age, she's very, very successful. And that should be applauded. Not the vitriol and the hatred that this young lady receives. And especially by black men. You should be ashamed of yourself. When I look at Angel Reese, I see a daughter. And as black men, I've never seen, not saying that he's in the picture or not, I don't know. I've seen Angel Reese with her mother, but I've never seen Angel Reese with her father. And when I look at Angel Reese, I see a young black girl that could be my daughter or one of our daughters. So as a black man, it's on us to be a father, to protect that Angel Reese, because she represents black excellence. Yes, there are things, she's not perfect. Like I said, there are things that she may do that doesn't fit me, but she's growing. I can pray for her, and hope that she will find her way and be the role model, be an example for these young women coming up in the game of basketball and these black girls coming up in general in life. But the hatred is uncalled for. And a lot of these people call themselves Christians. You call yourself a disciple of Jesus Christ, but then you hate on someone who's created by Jesus. When did Jesus do that? When did Jesus do that? You pick and choose to be Christians. You put on your Christian hat at certain places, then you take it off in certain places because that hatred is not of God. But that's all I have on this topic. I just, I hate to see the hatred that this young girl has just for playing basketball. Let these young girls play basketball and let them, strive for the pinnacle. Let them strive for new heights, and let's see what happens. But just the hatred that people pour into it, it's a shame. It's a shame, and it needs to stop. And for Angel Reese, especially for black men who do it, and you know who you are. That's all I have for this topic for today. I would love to hear your 2 cents into it, your opinion. Talk to me. Before I get out, I want to give a shout out to my producers, Blessed Dreams Production, my boy Alfred, and Eyes Have Not Seen, my sister Marilyn. Don't forget to connect with me on Instagram, Young King 1982. And until the next time another episode drops here at Open Doors, be blessed. Talk to you soon.
And it shall never take nothing.